A publication known as Bible Money Matters did a profile on a financial guru by the name of Dave Ramsey. Now, Dave Ramsey is very, very popular in giving financial advice, and he has made quite a lucrative business out of it. In fact, so lucrative that he lives in a mega mansion that the publication wrote about. So just a few details about his home. Apparently, it's in Franklin, Tennessee, and it's worth $10 million. It's also 13,000 square feet.
I think that would qualify as a mansion.
That sounds quite large.
You know what Jesus loved, though? Mansions.
Yes. So another thing about Dave Ramsey is that he's very religious. He's conservative. He talks about his religion time to time during his broadcasts. And so since this profile came out, a lot of religious people were outraged by it. But first, let me give you some more information about it. From what we hear, financial guru Dave Ramsey's home office, including the sliding library wall ladder, is made of solid mahogany.
What is he, Ron Burgundy?
That's awesome. The shower in the master bathroom is rumored to have 18 shower heads. He's a dirty, dirty boy. And
He's got to clean up.
Yeah, and is larger than the jacuzzi tub. Cathedral ceilings throughout. The local who we spoke with felt the basement was by far the most impressive. Full bar with whiskey barrels built into the walls, media room, and several bedrooms make up the broad lower basement level you see from the distance, wrapping around the tip, just the tip of the mountain.
Okay, so first of all, so the guy is rich and he does a financial advice
Yeah.
show. Nothing wrong with that. God bless. Okay. Where it gets a little tricky is this is all enwrapped in the message of Christ. And the message of Christ, I was fairly sure it was not to accumulate a ton of wealth. I believe he threw the money changers out of the temple, right? And he spoke over and over again about how don't hoard wealth, be generous, share with others, take care of the poor, take care of the needy. That was the central message of Jesus Christ. And this guy says, Jesus says I should live in a mansion. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Now there's the troubling part.
All right. So he got a lot of criticism for his mega mansion. A lot of the religious readers of this publication thought that, he was actually being a hypocrite because as a man of God, you should want to share your wealth with people. You shouldn't want to hoard it for yourself and live in this 13,000 square foot home. Well, he believes that these criticisms are actually a, quote, war on success.
You know who had the original war on success? Jesus.
Yes.
Okay. Jesus said that it's harder for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into heaven.
Hey, you calm down. I have some quotes for you. Okay, I have Bible verses that will show you that Dave Ramsey is wrong. But before we get to all that fun stuff, we have some videos of Ramsey defending himself on Fox News. Let's take a look at video number 1.
So did you expect that people were just going to come after you for just working hard toward a home and paying it with cash?
Well, yes. We have a war on success going on in America. Yeah. The left fringe has a real agenda, and the agenda is to give the government more power and the government more control. And in order to do that, they're spreading three really huge myths out there: that wealth is evil, that the little man is trapped and can't get ahead, and of course they're continuing to spread this wealth inequality message, which is also, got a faulty logic to it, because if you work harder, you should make more.
Okay, look, again, I actually, especially when it comes to his show, I have no problems with Dave Ramsey. And I got to admit to being slightly biased, because Dave Ramsey actually helped us a tiny bit when we were a radio show. Dave Kohler used to talk to, I think, his producers, et cetera, right? Even though they're conservative and we're progressive, et cetera. But, Dave, you'd be fine if you just said, hey, you know what? Look, Jesus said to help the poor. I'm doing the best I can, but I made this money for my show, and so I want to live in a nice house. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? But just to finish the thought there, he says, liberals said wealth is evil. No, we didn't say that. If you read the Bible, Jesus said that. He says, they're concerned about inequality. Dave, have you read the Bible? Jesus is pretty concerned with inequality. And to say that that's like a liberal position that Jesus doesn't agree with, now you're bordering on the absurd.
I actually don't have any issues with Dave Ramsey. I used to listen to his radio show back in the day as I would commute to work because I think he gives really good financial advice. I'm not going to lie. He would lose me on the religious mumbo jumbo. I'm not interested in any of that, right? But he very rarely speaks about the religious stuff. Most of it is actually very common sense financial advice. Where he loses me is where he just starts making excuses, right? And he starts twisting the religion to fit his own agenda or his own narrative. Just own up to it. You did work hard, okay? You did earn all that money yourself. You are successful. If I lived in a big house and people were giving me shit, I'd be like, you know what? This is my life. And I know that he gives money to charity. So he should talk about that. I mean, I think that's the right response. Like, I do share my wealth. But instead, he got into this thing with attacking liberals and being ridiculous. And now all of a sudden, I'm like, I don't know, this guy's crazy. We have one more video. Let's go to that.
Somebody suggested, question whether or not you can be a witness for Christ when you have a lot of money.
Calling you a hypocrite, really.
It is. There's a toxic version of the left gotten involved in Christianity as well, and it's this idea that that Christians can't own anything or can't manage anything, and we technically don't own anything. Those of us that are Christ followers, we technically manage it for God and for His glory.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on.
So wait, let me get this right. So you keep the money your whole life, okay? And so when does God see that money? Never. Okay, but then when you die, okay, well, you were just holding it on to it for God. So do you go up to the pearly gates with, hey, God, don't worry, I brought you a mansion. Okay. A, I'm pretty sure He doesn't care.
Exactly.
B, no, you don't. Then your kids get the money. Okay. What is the holding it for God? That's the worst excuse I have ever heard.
It is the worst excuse. So just to show you how bad that excuse is, charge them that they are rich in this world, that they be not high-minded, nor trust in uncertain riches, but in the living God, who giveth us richly all things to enjoy.
Don't trust in the uncertain riches.
And there's one more. You want to read it, Cenk?
Yeah, for the love of money is the root of all evil, which, while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves with many sorrows. Okay, so you have to admit one of two things, right? Either it really is in the Bible and you're 100% wrong, or Jesus was the biggest liberal you ever saw. And the reality is both of those things are true. I mean, if Jesus came down to earth and said, for the love of money is the root of all evil, Fox News would spit on him, right? They might even put a thorny crown on him and drag him through the streets, okay? Mm-hmm. I mean, the Dave Ramsey's, how could you say money is the root of all evil? One of his other excuses was, oh, that mansion is only a tiny percentage of my net worth.
Stop it. Stop it. That was horrible.
Okay, I don't mind your mansion, man. 18 shower heads, I don't know how that works, but it sounds nice. I'd like to have it, okay? There's nothing wrong with it. You just got to own up to it and say, hey, look, I got to do better there if I'm going to walk in the footsteps of Jesus, but I'm trying. But don't pretend that Jesus would have watched Fox News and would have loved for, like, if Jesus was around now, he'd have a mansion and a yacht, and he'd say, no, I'm just holding on to it for God. And he'd have a pretty good claim since he's the son of God, but he still wouldn't.